Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Kari and today I'm doing the, what tag is this? Something about a TBR tag, I think. So I should have checked that.
Or summertime if you're in the southern hemisphere.
Let's see.
And today I thought I'd just do a nice and easy little tag video just for something fun. So, the wonderful Alex from Alex Black Reads, who will of course be linked down in the description below, tagged me in the Expose My TBR book tag.
There you go.
Looking down, I have a screenshot.
Thank you, Abby. So, in case you couldn't tell, I was tagged in this by Abby from Abby of Pelennor, who was tagged by Alex from Alex Black Reads. I always have Abby linked down below in the Expose My TBR tag. So, I am actually getting to this soon. Like, this was a week, 2 weeks ago. I am very proud. There are 10 books on this. Oh shit. Well, that's gonna be a guesstimate, most likely. Because that's a lot. We'll get there. Alright, number 1. How do I come across books to add to my TBR? Well, number 1, Abby. It's Abby's fault. We are horrible influences on each other, although Olivia and I may be conspiring from Olivia's catastrophe to completely destroy Abby's TBR, because that could be really fun. Anyway, Abby is a large source of the books on my TBR. Otherwise, things that other friends recommend to me, or just wandering through the library or a bookstore, books I see on TikTok, you know, anything, anywhere. My parents, my sister, I don't know, topics that I come up and go, oh hey, that sounds interesting, let's go find a book. That happens fairly frequently. It just, you name it, I get books that way. Number 2, book 2 shout out to person who makes me add the most books to my TBR. Again, Abby. Straight up, it's Abby's fault. If it's not Abby's, potentially it's Pierre's from Pierre Ford, or Zoe from You're All Booked Zoe, or Emma from Drinking by My Shelf. Those 3 are also big sources on BookTube of books I add. Number 3, book that has been there the longest. If I remembered where it was, I would grab it. It's on this shelf somewhere. It is Aztec by Gary Jennings. It is a historical fiction set in Aztec times. I'm very interested in that, but that's been on my TBR, I think, since college? And I graduated college in 2014. So that should give you a good indication of how old some of these books are. Otherwise, I've got some classics that have been on here for a long time as well. Dostoevsky's been on here since high school, early college. The Federalist Papers, the Jungle Book's been on here since high school. So there's also classics that have been on here for more than 10 years. I just haven't got there. Number 4, most recently added book. Realistically, I could go for multiples, but for the sake of the dog having interrupted me, we're going to go with Great Lakes Shipwrecks and Survivals by William Radigan. I got this one from my mom for Christmas. Though I did buy a... yeah, anyway. Which is a nonfiction about shipwrecks on the Great Lakes. It does include the... ooh, the Mustafa. That ought to be interesting. The Edmund Fitzgerald, which went down in 75 in Lake Superior, arguably the most famous. Certainly the most famous on Lake Superior. Whether it's the most famous on the other lakes, I don't know. But it sounds really interesting. Otherwise, I just remembered that I bought books yesterday. Hurricane Lizards and Plastic Squid, or Open Veins of Latin America. Both of which are nonfiction. The squid one is about the fraught and fascinating biology of climate change, which ought to be very good. And the other one is 5 centuries of the pillage of a continent. So, also should be really good. Those are all of, not all of, but those are the most recent additions to my shelves. 5, which book will I read next? Oh, damn if I know. I really need to read Winterlight by Kristen Britton, which I got fairly recently. I'm probably going to read Wild New World, which I got over Christmas. I definitely need to read A Fire Endless by Rebecca Ross that I got in December. Probably going to reread Sea Sparrow. I don't know. pick a book on my shelves and there's a decent chance I'm gonna get to it at some point. 6, most anticipated book and why haven't I read it? Fake Law by Anonymous. It is part of the, I guess, world or the series or whatever you want to call it of nonfiction books by an anonymous attorney in the UK about the UK legal system. The first one being The Secret Barrister, which I have read and do own somewhere on the bottom of my shelf in the back, and I'm not getting it right now. I haven't read Fake Law because I got it in October for my birthday from Abby of Pelennor, and November and December have just been crazy months where I was not necessarily in my space a lot of the time, so I didn't always have access to all of the books, and I'm trying to get through the too many library books that I brought home one day. 7, books that I added to the hype. Well, other than Babel, right, because, do not fall, because Babel is amazing and absolutely deserves all of the hype. I read a fair number of books that don't get a ton of hype. So, I mean, Graceling is a well-known series. It doesn't necessarily get a ton of hype. But I add to that every single time I read them because I adore them. They're my favorite series. Mercedes Lackey doesn't really get hype. Girls with Paper and Fire, amazing. Still have to finish the 3rd one. But that one doesn't really get hype anymore. I don't know why. It's phenomenal. Poppy War I add to the hype. Black Sun I add to the hype. I don't know. I don't know. That's the answer, but that's what I've got. Number 8. Books I added that I knew I wasn't going to read. None. I only add books to my TBR with the bestest of intentions. It doesn't always work sometimes, but when I buy them or get them from whatever source, there is always the intention that I will read this book. I mean, I have 6 Bibles because I grew up religious and reasons, and I'm not going to get rid of them because I have various different Bibles, and at some point in my life I do want to have read the Bible through, if only to argue with the people who are fanatics and be able to point out that they're morons. Because that is really fun to do. But yeah, that's the answer. None of them. I buy books with the intention of reading them. Number 9, any book on there that I will remove. Not at this moment in time. Give it a year or two and I'm sure there will be some that I go, this has been on here long enough, I've found a better book, or I got it super cheap and I don't really care, I guess, anymore to read this specific copy. I'll go find a different book on this topic. But as of right now, at 3:11 on January 8th, 2023, I intend to read all of these and I intend to keep all of them. And number 10 is the grand reveal of the number of books on my TBR. I forgot that was part of this tag, so I didn't count all of my books, and I am not counting all of my books now because at last count, which I think was 6 to 8 months ago, because of Abby again, by the way, I had about 1,800 books total on my shelves. Physical books. This is not including Kindle, this is not including library books, none of that. Straight just physical books. I know that I have at least 200 on my Kindle TBR that I haven't read. Largely classics or books I got for free or, you know, things I went, oh yeah, that could be really interesting when I'm really bored on an 8-hour flight across the Atlantic at some point. But I had 1,800 physical books. Since then, I have got rid of maybe 50, and I'm quite positive I've added 50 because I bought 30 in October, and I buy 2 to 3 books a month anyway. Which means that at the time, 6 to 8 months ago, when I had 1,800 physical books on my shelves, 1,100 which I had read, I had approximately 700 that I hadn't read, which means 700 on my TBR. Given that I have, I'm pretty sure, bought more books than I've got rid of, I'm guessing it's closer to 800. At some point in the next couple of months, I'm not promising anything other than that, I will count all of my books for you, Abby, and I will count all of the books I haven't read. But I'm quite sure that requires a Friday night alcohol and motivation, none of which I have right now. It is a Sunday afternoon and I have to drive. So that's where we're at. We're gonna guesstimate right now and post later. I will not edit this video when I do that because that just doesn't make any sense to me. I might post a small, essentially a reel, just going through all of the books as I count to see what I have. Because I also know that I have several books, I mean they're coffee table books technically, but I'm pretty sure I have several of those in my storage unit as well. So if we go with, like, I have 10 books that I don't physically have with me, I have a lot of books. Look, I don't know what to tell you, I could be doing cocaine, and I'm not. So we're gonna count that as a win, and just go with, I have about 750 books on my TBR. Yeah, so that video theoretically will be coming at some point this year. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I found it interesting and definitely forgot to count all of my books beforehand. Oops. Kind of, I could, but I'm not going to today. That's way too much work right now. So, that's where we're at, which I've said like 4 times now. I'm so sorry. Moving on. Hope you enjoyed. That's all I got. Abby link down below, and otherwise, comments, questions, thoughts in the comments below, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.